Hello everyone, this is Tristan McGough, your philosopher at large, and today in Intermediate Selfology we're going to wake up. We discussed the last time, why does one want to awaken in the first place? And the bottom line was, it's natural, it's part of your career of consciousness, not only to grow up and to wake up and then to lift up and to give up and to go on. But it's also the avenue to happiness, because therein lies the secret to the harmony of yourself internally, as well as the harmony with others in your environment, both natural and social. So today we're awakening to one's own awareness. Remember what Buddha Raja says. The method of attaining the goal is to be constantly awake to one's own awareness. This is what we're doing. So if you don't want to wake up, don't watch this program. If you do, continue, because we're going to be intuiting pure consciousness. Your natural awareness, the awareness that you operate in your ordinary daily life, is something you don't often pay attention to. Although you have the ability to perceive the objects around you as objects, and that itself is apprehension. As you apprehend these objects around you, you pay attention to some of them. However, it isn't often that a consciousness pays attention to itself. It is always doing so in a natural state of mind called apperception. Apperception is consciousness, which is conscious, always, of itself. Attention is where you are conscious as a mind that is looking at ideas. And apprehension is when you're conscious of the finite things in your environment. And though this is the ordinary mind that each of us have, it's the natural mind, it's the everyday mind, it's the mind that we wake up and inhabit throughout the day. We wake up to this mind, we walk throughout the day with this mind, we talk with this mind, but we don't often reflect on this mind. Reflecting on the mind itself, the mind calling attention to itself, is what we call awakening. I am conscious of being conscious. This is a capability that every human being has, though none of us fully understand the implications of opening the door to our inner scape, discovering the inner treasures, put in our own psychical house in order, and progressing along the path of the ever-evolving cosmos, of which we are an integral part, not only as finite beings, but as conscious beings. So now is the moment for introducing you to your consciousness the way that I would introduce a friend to you. The consciousness that you have is the consciousness not only of things, but as consciousness itself. So often, we call ourselves to attention, and we become conscious of being conscious only at the times of suffering, where it is we who are well aware that it is our individual self that suffers. That calling attention to oneself can happen at any moment. So let's call attention to ourselves, our own consciousness. I am conscious of being conscious. The moment that any of us say that, we open the door to this inner scape, this world of self-reflection. And when we strip it bare, we find what the essential nature of our consciousness is. So let's do that. Let's eliminate everything from consciousness which is not. And so we do that by a means. And the vehicle that we're going to use are considering three things. First, I want you to consider this. All your past deeds, thoughts, emotions, and decisions are gone. They're empty. They're clear. They're traceless. In the same way that there's no dinosaur that is living today, there is no idea that you've ever fabricated. There's no event you've ever participated in that has remained. The only thing that has remained is here, now, in the present, in the causal state of which we are all participating. The past, therefore, you must recognize, is gone. It does not exist. Next, consider the future. Any thought you might have, or any emotion, any deed that you might do, any decision or resolution that you care to make in the future is unproduced. It's the very nature of the future. When it arrives, it's always fresh. It's always a discovering and uncovering. However, all the future states that I might imagine and protend myself toward in consciousness, they don't exist. Third, recognize that all your thoughts and what you feel, all your decisions, your vows, your pledges, everything that you'll decide and resolve that's going on right now, right here and right now, it arises, it abides for a time, then it subsides and disappears. There's no thought that you've ever had that is here now. There's no emotion that you've ever had before that is here now. There's no emotion that you'll ever have in the future that is the same as what you're having now. That does not exist in the future. That does not exist in the past. What exists is here now. Your consciousness that allows that arising and abiding and subsiding and disappearing of every emotion and feeling and thought and willing and any doing that you'd ever have done or might do, all of that rests upon your consciousness, which is pure and allows it to happen. There's no mode of consciousness that you will have that this single unitary consciousness that somehow exists only in this present and yet can retend the past and portend the future. This very consciousness itself is pure. And when one looks at it, when you look at your consciousness, it is that which allows the contents of consciousness to arise and to disappear. And they all do so as energy. So now that you've been introduced to your consciousness, it is that which you are conscious of. What are the constituents that you, at this moment of barely beholding your own consciousness, in which my words arise and your thoughts arise, and then they all disappear, what is it that subsides and remains? What is this unitary consciousness that is continuous and abides, yet is empty and allows everything and anything to inhabit it, while it is radiant and luminous and allows you the clarity to see what emotion you have, whether it's suffering or whether it's joy. This direct intuition is your consciousness being conscious of itself. And this consciousness itself can now be confirmed. Examine and look at this consciousness, which is naked and unproduced, uncontrived, unconstructed, which is pure, radiant and empty. Look at what this consciousness is. First thing it is, it's energy, is it not? There is an energy of your consciousness which makes itself present. Next, that energy. However many thoughts or feelings may come, they all arise spontaneously. There is no time at which the energy that arises doesn't arise spontaneously. And not only that, it's always novel. The third thing that this presencing consciousness is it is always fresh. It hasn't happened before. It won't happen again. This energy is spontaneous and novel. As well, it is pure. There is purity to this energy. It is what it is, without any obstruction. That is kind of clarity allows you to see what emotion you have, what thought you have, what decision you'll make. Whatever experience that you are actually entertaining in consciousness, you are already aware of. In awakening, you maintain this undistracted awareness. And you notice this energy. There's always a kind of energy spontaneously arising, which itself is novel and pure, but as well as it's unified. This energy is never scattered energy. It's energy that always integrates, so that if you have a feeling and at the same time you have a thought and you have a determination or a fierce resolution to do something, all these coexist in consciousness. Consciousness has 10 dimensions upon which its axes extend in the sphere of your awareness. The sphere of your awareness is huge, and you apperceive it all. This is the nature of pure consciousness. And it is all unified. But at the same time, it is a singularity. Is it not? It is the identity which makes you you. You understand that in this consciousness, which is bare and stripped of everything else, there is a singularity or a single flavor to it, so that the same consciousness that you have now, you had prior, a year ago, 10 years ago, however many years ago. And it's the same kind of consciousness that will carry from the ephemeral moment through the eternal now. And lastly, the last thing that you'll notice about this consciousness when you examine it nakedly, when you confirm it through your own experiential direct intuition, is that it's silent. It's always been silent. It's that silence which allows the purity of consciousness to mirror absolutely anything that comes within, as either a mode of operation or as something that is beheld as a content of consciousness. I want to just take one single table today as we're looking at the intuition of one singular consciousness. And in this tabular form, I've listed what it was that you've actually been introduced to. Being introduced to your own consciousness means that you are simply being taken to the door in which I am conscious of being conscious. Opens that door into your own innerscape. The kingdom is within you. The kingdom of ideas, the citadel of your thoughts, of your emotions, of all your wills and resolutions, as well as all the generative activity that you'll ever undertake. And now you'll notice that in all of these things, I'm leaving you with a table that speaks about awakening to one's own awareness and what that actually entails, where you are taking attention and using the mantra, the awakening mantra, I am conscious of being conscious, as a finite to experience to attend to. And that immediately, if you carry it forward and you pivot, and you pay attention and examine this consciousness, you'll see that it is energy, spontaneity, novelty, purity, unity, identity, and silence. The way to continue this consciousness that you've awakened to, so it becomes a powerful source that is undisturbed, undistracted, and that you are able, therefore, to find the tools to master your inner world and maintain balance in the outer, are these aspects of continuation. So, in terms of energy, what we're talking about, how do you want it to continue? Well, if you're continuing as a being that's conscious of being conscious, you want it to continue as a life-charging vibrancy. It's something that is manifesting power. It's the expansion of energy. And that's the intensification element. So in the continuation of awakening, you are going to intensify the things that are intuitively sensed as you've awakened to your consciousness, and you are going to bring them to fulfillment through a continuation. And that continuation is essentially an intensification. It's a use of the will in order to apply it, to maintain a non-discursive image of what your consciousness is. Non-discursive, you're not thinking about it. You don't have to define energy every time in order to have this life-charging vibrancy. But you must pay attention to the energy. You must attend to it. So all the energetic things, dynamic elements that are going on in your life, the internal energy of your own self-aware consciousness is a part of those energies. So pay attention. Note the tone of the energy. Note what kind of energy is. Is it an affective energy such as emotion? Is it an intellectual energy such as a thought? Is it a volitional energy such as a decision or a resolution? Or is it an actional kind of idea that motivates the body and gives you the sense of movement, or receiving sensations from the outside via the body? All of that is a life-charging vibrancy of the energy. But in terms of spontaneity, what do you want to intensify? And what do you want to bring about? Well, you're going to bring about that continuation as surprising joy. There's always something new. There's always something fresh and novel. That's what turns the unproduced future into the fresh present. It's where you, in the eternal now, are set face to face with the future. That's all the future is. It's the unfoldment of potential. It's a surprise. It should be surprising joy every moment to partake of this great spontaneity that we call self-arising awareness. It's spontaneous. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to contrive or make any reason or excuse for it to happen. It happens on its own. And when it does, it's novel. It brings something new. It brings something completely novel in terms of the creative ingenuity of the universe. Right? That's part of the engine of the universe. It's its ingenuity. What is ingenuity? It's the application of the energies of the engine of the universe by an awakened consciousness, a conscious being that is aware of itself. This allows the purity. Now, this purity, what do you want it to continue as? The purity that you've experienced, as that clarity of consciousness that allows things to appear and then disappear into it. Well, you want that purity as cherishing adoration. It's the most precious unimpeded awareness that serves as the very basis of your inner scape. It is something that you would cherish and adore. In the same way that unity is something which you want to have with solicitous caring. It's as if you have the most precious child in the universe, which you do. And this child needs to be provided for and nurtured. So you necessarily, in terms of that child's identity, you want to protect it. You have protective guardianship. And so that you ensure that your awareness does not waver from being conscious of itself and enjoying the many dimensions that unfold in this flower of awakened consciousness. In the same way that the silence, which is the natural element of the presence of the intuition, becomes a saving grace. It becomes a saving peace in your life. It is the point of pure consciousness which is always abiding, surely and undistractedly. We all have natural apperception. We are always, as consciousness, transparent to ourselves. As consciousness, we are forever in a state of pure consciousness. Calling one's attention to that, I am conscious of being conscious, allows you to pivot to the inner treasures of your inner scape. That is the way you continue. When you awaken through I am conscious of being conscious, then I pivot to the secret treasures of my inner scape. Those treasures no one knows but you, and that is why they are secret. The secret practices in all the esoteric organizations throughout history ultimately is the secrecy of one's own singular path, this very path, the single-natured path, being the basis of everything. This single nature of mind, this self-identifying, unifying, novel, spontaneous energy, which emerges from the silence and allows all things to sound and to speak within it. This is what you awaken to. And through that awakening, you are able to make contributions to the world through your enlightening mind. Because awakening is not just a one-time affair. Certainly, there are great realizations that individual conscious beings have had and will continue to have and will have into the future. These are great enlightenments. However, awakening is the path to that enlightenment. And so that enlightening mind is always becoming enlightened, and it's enlightening others in real time. And real time, the most real time, is the psychical time you have as consciousness being conscious of yourself. So by attending and pivoting to these elements, these 7 elements, you can continue that state of consciousness so that you are constantly having greater vibrancy. You are constantly going through all the other states, from spontaneity and the creative ingenuity, all the way to the saving peace. And these are things that you are able to develop all at once. They happen a little at a time. They all happen at once, a little at a time. These are micro transformations. These are micro self-transformations. They happen moment from moment to moment, and you find yourself increasing the potency, as we said. Awakening increases the potency of the energies. It increases your happiness and clarity and your balance in the world. So, until the next time that we meet, stay awakened and continue awakening to deeper, profounder, and vaster experiencings within your self-consciousness. So until we meet again, behave when you must. Be good whenever you can. But above all else, be yourself.